Hey, BK. Hey, Trejo. Good morning, Doctor Trejo. The Honorable, awesome Doctor Trejo, the king of the chat, the king of the chat. All right, guys. Today is a learning day. Well, not today. This time of the day is a learning day. I got to go back to filling you with that information. So maybe we'll get a better look at it. And I think tomorrow I'm going to do narcissistic parents. I think tomorrow I'm going to do narcissistic parents, siblings, but we're going to be doing something. Okay, let's start this show.
And so I have learned from him as well. But he does label himself as he has been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder and sociopath. Okay, let's talk about what that means. That is a malignant narcissist. That means that is a malignant narcissist. A malignant narcissist is a person that has narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder was broken up in two parts at one point in time before it was given anti-personality disorder as a diagnosis, the way that therapists diagnose. It was broken up in psychopath and sociopath. And that was, I even looked, so I have this is what we operate off of. This is the new edition, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders, which I think I ordered maybe like 2 years ago. It came out in, this is the fifth edition. So this came out in 2013, I think it was. So this was published in 2013. So the one prior to that, I pulled up my other one, which was an older one. I can't, it's the DSM-4. And even in there, psychopath and sociopath was not in there. It was anti-personality disorder. So they took those two, the psychopath and sociopath, and put them together and labeled them under antisocial personality disorder. So when you're talking about a greater narcissist, you're talking about a narcissist sociopath. You're talking about a malignant narcissist. And there are people seeking consultation, and he has
Yeah,
come
be
up with
safe out
books
there.
and videos and interviews, and people, you can hear people how excited they are about talking to him. And hey, you do you. You get your hustle on, make your money. People got to pay bills. That's how they do. But let me tell you what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist. So I went to the medical dictionary. It's the feed dictionary. You can look it up under malignant narcissist. And under the malignant narcissist in the medical dictionary, let's see which one is a generic term. So this is not something you're going to find in the diagnostic manuals. This is not something that nine times out of 10, if you don't know what it is, you won't hear therapists use that term, because we had to learn those terms too. It makes perfect sense too. So a malignant narcissist, a generic term for a finding in a person with psychopathic personality disorder, which is characterized by marked narcissism and antisocial behavior. Such inhumanity and propensity toward evil may be extreme and is common in serial killers and dictators. Let's see. Um, and this is McGraw-Hill Concise Dictionary of Modern Medicine. This is psychiatry, a range of psychopathic personality disorders characterized by the coexistence of marked narcissistic and antisocial traits. So let me walk you guys through this, okay? So you can understand what you're dealing with. So when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist,
Nature
and this
Nut.
is on, if you go to www.bustle.com, is by Brandy Neal. Now she wrote, she was writing and she was quoting, so that's good when you're quoting books.
Remember, we're talking about the psychology of Nature Nut, TKO, that BBW girl, which we will be going more and more to that BBW girl. But these are also people you know every day. And my job is to teach you guys how to protect yourself, how to protect yourself from these vultures, because you cannot get away from them. You cannot. They're everywhere.
That's a good thing. So that's why on blogs I kind of look to see what are you quoting. And so she said here, which is excellent. Narcissist comes in many forms, including what's often termed as malignant narcissist. Signs of malignant narcissism includes a mix of narcissism, antisocial personality disorder, aggression, and sadism. And we're talking.
You heard the word sadism. Sadism.
About that.
Sadism. That's why when people say narcissistic people, as I tell y'all all the time, there are different levels to narcissism. That's why I do not play with that word. I don't play with the word because people don't understand how serious that is. It's not a joke to call somebody a narcissist. They could just be a no good piece of SHIITT. And you got to learn how to see what's in front of you. You have to see what's in front of you. That's why I can say what I want to say, but I like to back it up. She is a doctor. She's a doctor who deals with the behavior problems. Shiznits. They go Pete to the rescue. Here go the Dr. Pete to the rescue. All right, now, piece of shiznit. And I heard of shiznit before, but it looks better that I can see how it's written. We are the group, the chat with our own language. So if anybody's watching, I'm sorry you don't understand our language, but we have our own language in here. Now, I always make sure there's a professional in the field to go with what I say. So you can't think, oh, she's just speaking. No, I know what I see. And what I see, I want you guys to see, but I want you to hear it from a professional. It's another lady too. She is dynamite. She is dynamite. Dynamite. I showed her before, but I'm going to show her more often. In the morning, we're going to do learning sessions.
And so let's scroll through here. Journal of Psychoanalytic Psychoticism, Antisocial Personality Disorder, Aggression, and Sadism. And we'll talk about that. And so let's scroll through here. Journal of Psychoanalytic Psychology described in the 2000 movie American Psycho as a depiction of a malignant narcissist. This isn't to say that all narcissists are Patrick Bateman, of course, but there's a reason the word malignant is in there. So let's look. So while malignant narcissist isn't in the DSM-4, you're not going to find in DSM-5 either. In the beginning, the positive traits of a narcissist may win you over. Narcissists are very good at what they do. Let's see. As Pep Street explained in Psychology Today, nothing the narcissist says or does is what it seems. and he or she is very, very skilled at manipulation, and at least at the start of things, very attractive and engaging. Some of you guys took off those rose-colored glasses and found out you were dating Shrek, so, or Mud Duck, whatever we call them. And then you're now you're upset, and you need therapy because you're blind and now you can see.
Look at that. Moduck is a real word. Look at that. Moduck is a real word. Who knew? A Moduck. A Moduck. Wow. It wasn't made up. Did you know that, Trey House? Moduck is a real word. Well, all right now. Moduck, Moduck. Oh, God, and it's a meaning. So next time you hear the word Moduck, y'all will know the meaning. Now we know. Now we know. So when somebody say Moduck, we're going to have the meaning for Moduck. Let's rewind that. A Moduck. See, you come in here, you learn something.
Does is what it seems, and he or she is very, very skilled at manipulation, and at least at the start of things, very attractive and engaging. Some of you guys took off those rose-colored glasses and found out you were dating Shrek, so, or Mud Duck, whatever we call them. And then you're now you're upset, and you need therapy because you're blind and now you can see.
So Moduck is a fake person. A Moduck is a fake person. That means you ain't really what I thought you was. You a Moduck. Moduck. You're fake. So when you call people a Moduck from now on, you're calling them fake. They live in a lie.
I'm not just messing with you guys. You guys do need therapy. You need to come in and see someone to help you get beyond this. But now you can see, you got the right glasses, right prescription on, and now you can see, and that came from that no contact, where you had the opportunity to lift that fog lifted, where now you can see all the things that, when you're close in proximity with someone that's constantly manipulating, driving you crazy and gaslighting, that crazy making, you'll lose the sense of reality. That's why many of you guys question yourself, question common decisions that you need to make. You question whether you're a narcissist. If you are really anxious, and some of you guys have gotten really anxious, if you're really anxious and concerned that let me take this off, that you may be a narcissist, there's a possibility you're probably not a narcissist. And so let's see. Meanwhile, Carrie Barron, she's a medical doctor, described malignant narcissists on Psychology Today as intelligent, high-functioning, sometimes soft-spoken. She says soft-spoken. Not all of them are soft-spoken. Charming, tearful, seemingly emotional, gracious, well-mannered, kind, and having the ability to form relationships. Mirror and facade and illusions. You draw the picture for them and write the script at what script and role they need to play in your life. And so let's see. So it's easy to see at first sight that this person could be appealing. However, Barron also wrote that the combination of subtle paranoia, lack of conscience, and sadism is in a malignant narcissist renders these individuals scary, dangerous, and ruthless. So these are some of the things you're going to find dealing with which is not a official diagnosis. It's not an official diagnosis. You'll find, the sense of entitlement. We talked about that. The lack of conscience and empathy. The malignant narcissists don't have. They lack the ability to empathize. So the same thing as narcissists. Empathy is an experience of understanding another person's condition through perspective. You feel empathy for someone. You place yourself in a metaphorical shoes, and then you try to feel what they feel. That's empathy. Let's see. A sadistic streak. So a sadist is someone who enjoys the suffering of others. Susan Krauss Whitborn, PhD, describes two types of sadists in Psychology Today: vicarious sadists and everyday sadists. A vicarious sadist might enjoy killing his or her opponent on video games or watching others be hurt, humiliated, or killed in violent movies. However, the person does not actually participate in the harm of another person in real life. An everyday sadist is willing to inflict actual emotional and physical harm or humiliation to another living creature and gains enjoyment from it. Egocentric, egocentric, egocentrism. Everyone knows, out of control ego. So we know that's a part of the narcissist. Let's see. Egocentrism can cause us to make incorrect assumptions about what other people are thinking or feeling. But a person can be egocentric without being a narcissist. Someone who's just egocentric is able to see the other person's point of view, but a narcissist becomes annoyed or even enraged when others fail to see things their way. Okay. Grandiosity, we know that's a part of narcissism. Paranoia. Paranoia is referring to someone who feels excessively suspicious without justification and or believe that others are plotting against them. They read too far. They read far too much into everything that people say and are quick to criticize, but they are not open to criticism themselves. Let's see. A manipulative nature. Um, Most people, here it says that most people have manipulated people, so that doesn't make you a narcissist or a malignant narcissist, but most people have manipulated people, and you do it. Sometimes you do it on a constant basis. Um, they're not, so Abigail Brenner, MD, wrote in Psychology, that manipulative people are not really interested in you except as a vehicle or a source of supply to allow them to gain control so that you become an unwilling participant in their plans. And so let's see, and will resort to gaslighting. They project their bad behaviors onto others. We know that. That's a part of it. So now let's move on. So I'm gradually bringing you into what you're dealing with, okay? But I'm just trying to give you guys some information to get yourself ready, okay? So let's talk about, if my page would load so kindly. The question here on Site Central, and this was written by Darlene Lancer. She's a jurisprudence and a marriage family therapist. Jurisprudence means legal, meaning has a law degree. And what she said was, the question she asked is, are you dealing with a sociopath or a narcissist? So narcissists exist on a continuum, but someone with NPD is grandiose, sometimes only in fantasy, lacks empathy, and needs admirations from others, demonstrated in 5 of the following traits. So grandiose, sense of importance, dreams of unlimited power, success, brilliance, beauty, ideal love, lacks empathy or feelings for others, requires excessive admiration, believes he or she is special and unique and only can be understood or should associate with other special people of high status or institutions, exploits. And some of them, claim that they have all this education and knowledge, and to help people or to do things, and they're not even qualified to do it. They don't even have anything to prove that they have gotten the education or skill sets to do it. They mimic, remember, they mirror. Requires excessive admiration and unreasonably expects special favorable treatment or compliance with his or her wishes, exploits and takes advantage of others, envies others, and has an attitude of arrogance. Okay, so antisocial personality disorder. The labels sociopath and psychopath have often been used interchangeably. The clinical term is antisocial personality disorder. That is in the DSM-4 and the current one that we use, DSM-5. It is long-lasting and affects all situations, sometimes permanent. It is permanent. Permanent personality disorders are difficult to treat. Permanent personality disorder like narcissism, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality, they're non-treatable. You can't treat them. When I was in school and we were doing when we were going through the part of, even in my doctorate degree, personality disorders you can't fix them. You can't change them. They don't change. Someone with APD must have, usually they have had a conduct disorder by the age of 15 years old. Okay, and they at least show 4 of these traits. They do not sustain consistent work or school, doesn't conform to social norms, including unlawful behavior, whether or not arrested. So some people break laws all the time or do illegal stuff and just never get caught. And so a lot of times a narcissist or a malignant, this is malignant if you put together with the narcissist, a lot of them, you say that they do all this stuff and never get caught because they fly under the radar. They know how to do what they do, and they know how far to go without getting caught. And a lot of times they do a lot of illegal stuff, but they don't get caught because they've done it so much that in their mind they've become good at what they do. So they don't conform to social norms and rules, disregard truth indicated by repeated lying, conning, using aliases, and not paying debts. Impulsive or fail to plan ahead, moves around without a goal, irritable and aggressive, fights or assaults. They fight when, and sometimes you find that a lot in the lower narcissists too. Reckless, disregards safety or self or others. Consistently irresponsible. You see that in bills and family responsibilities and spending habits, just in general. They is indicated by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behavior or honor financial obligations. And some of them that are up on the scale can hold on to jobs, but a lot of times behind the scenes they are doing illegal stuff. They lack remorse and feel justified in having hurt, mistreated, or stolen from someone. They justify everything. They're never wrong. Doesn't sustain monogamy. So most of them, you will find that they have many partners, second sources of supplies with an S. Okay, so narcissists versus sociopaths. Malignant narcissists, when you put those two together, or antisocial personality, are the most malicious and destructive, and can
Mm-hmm.
look like sociopath. They cannot be healed. They cannot recover. There is no treatment for them. I don't care what psychiatric care they're under. There is no medication. There's nothing that changes them. Doesn't matter what they write or what they say. They do not change. They are what they are, and you are dealing with what you're dealing with.
Now, again, could somebody send this information to Mayonnaise and tell Mayonnaise stop? Why why does she think she has to be in contact with Nature Nut and she can change him? When I tell you all the time, they don't change. They do not change. They are so much full of destruction. Just because somebody's insensitive, do not make them a narcissist. I need for y'all to truly understand. Because people just throw that word out so much. A lot of people being labeled as a narcissist, but they are not. When your whole life is in shambles, that's a narcissist. When you got to pick up from nothing, bingo stripes don't change. I'm with you, queen. Uh-huh. This one you got to pick yourself up from the ashes, because they done burnt you down. From that's to destroy. They will never help you. They're only going to help you in the beginning. So when people say, "Oh, that person's a narcissist," you would need to hear more. Unless you have a trained eye for the behaviors that she's saying, and it has to be all. When somebody's telling you about a narcissistic person, you have to listen to what they say. Sometimes they just a piece of schnitzel, whatever Trejo said. Yeah, a piece of that. Shih tzu, or shiznits. There we go, shiznits. They're just a piece of shiznits. And you cannot change them. But you can sit there and praise them all day because they good with the gaff. Good with the gift of gaff, baby. Y'all sit around and wait for a Nature Nut or TKO or like y'all didn't see that performance that TKO put on with that girl, whatever her name is. He did that fake cry and oh baby, 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 and knowing he beat that girl, knowing he abused that girl. So I didn't want her to dance. You didn't want her to dance, and you want us to believe that? If you're in control of everything else, why wasn't you in control of that girl dancing? You know why you wasn't? Because she bought you home money. She brought the money home to Papa. She brought the money home to Papa. Y'all got to stop believing. And majority of, no, not a majority, every cult leader is a narcissist. Anybody that has a big following, and them people does what this person says, or that person is using you to make others feel bad, that's part of the Satanist too. You follow behind these people, and then They don't tell you to love everybody and stuff like that. You just follow them and they become your God. And then they make you say things to hurt other people. They make you do things to hurt other people. Or they make you do things to hurt yourself. Hello, above you too. Thank you for coming in to show some love. You understand? So you got to get to know these characters that we're watching. And this is why a lot of people fall for scams. A majority of scammers and con artists are narcissists. They don't care if you lost everything. They don't care if you lost everything. They don't care if it's your life savings. And remember, people got scammed. They didn't get scammed on the spot. That person worked them. They worked them to the point that you trusted them to give them everything. But that's more of a sociopath, actually. That's not really. They have narcissistic behaviors, but that's more of a sociopath. Sociopath gets you big and gone. That's right. Hug the like button. A sociopath, they get and be gone. That's how a lot of times you could tell the difference. I need for you guys to know the difference, because people be with narcissistic people forever. A lot of times they just get used to the narcissistic behavior and pray for God to hurry up and get old so you can't hurt them no more. But usually with a sociopath, they don't stick around, baby. They don't stick around. They peeped out what they could get from you. It could be something small, but they're gone. They in and out. And yes, I don't have to stop this lady at all. But I have to if I'm doing commentary. I have to. If I'm using her material, I have to do commentary. But there's really no need for me to say anything. Her and the other ladies on the spot.
They have shared, so a narcissist and a sociopath have shared traits. They both can be charismatic, intelligent, charming, and successful. How do you think they pulled you in? They didn't just walk up to you and start screaming and spitting in your face, and you're like, "Ooh, I'm in love. You so fine. Ooh, girl, you know you all cute and stuff." No, they ain't come spitting and hollering and stuff at you. That wouldn't attract you. And likewise for a man, he didn't come and just cuss you out and you decided, "Oh my gosh, this is my soulmate." You guys know that's not how it happens. Charismatic, intelligent. So depending on what appeals to you, your intelligence, beauty, charming, successful, and as well as unreliable, controlling, selfish, disingenuous, and dishonest. So all that plays a role. For some of you guys, when you are hurting really bad and you have a lot of holes in your heart, you have.
This is why it boils my blood when somebody tells somebody you need to level up. You gotta choose better. It don't go like that. It doesn't go like that. And men, stop telling women that. And women, stop telling men that. You need to level up and choose better. These narcissistic people do not come, like she said, with a stamp on their head and saying, "You know what? During the 7th month, my mask is going to fall off." And you can go through 7 months of beauty. It's beautiful. The Prince Charming, because they always Prince Charming or Prince Charming yet. Thank you. They could be the Prince Charmette or the Prince Charming, the Princess Charmette, the Princess Charming, and the Prince Charming. Exactly, Trey. Exactly. The awesome, the ultimate. I had to put a new word in there. The ultimate king, Trejos, Dr. P. But when they tell you, "Oh, that's how you pick them," no, nobody don't pick somebody again and say, "Hey, I want you to be mean and evil and leave me to be a single mother," or "I want you to sit up there and and just hate for no reason and take my kids away from me." have it to where I can't see my kids and just be so evil. These people are evil. They come in both sexes, both genders, both genders. But one hurts you really bad physically. That will be the male. One will F your life up. That will be the female. They do a lot of under the cover stuff. But them female narcissistic people, they will get you. Them female narcissist person learn everything about you, your family, your business, your finances. They go through all your stuff. They know what you are about. So they can't beat you physically, but damn, when they ready to get you, they get you. They get you. And it's bad because if they are a narcissistic self, and a lot of men need to pay attention to this, because these are the ones who raise your kids. I ain't talking about the bad mothers who keep getting no good men. I'm talking about a woman that's a narcissistic woman. While you out there doing you, calling her bitter, calling her nasty, calling her mean, calling her angry, what you think she's doing to your child? What do you think she's doing to your children? If you call her all of this, then you can't call her a good mother in the same sentence. A narcissist is a narcissist. And if you notice that this woman is a narcissistic person, what do you think she's doing to your children? She is not giving them the best life. She's creating a lot of more dysfunction because she's dysfunctional and she cannot change. Hey, James, welcome. What we're going to finish this, but then we're going to get to how to change your mind. You already had the degree, Trey Host. I gave it to you. I gave you that degree too. I gave you that degree. And especially hearing me all the time, I know you are a specialist. You're not any old behavioral health person. You are a not doctorate. You is a specialist. You're a specialist.
Have been rejected, you have been abused, abandoned, and you grew up that way. Your whole heart's desire is just to be loved, just to have someone say something nice to you, just to have someone tell you you're pretty or I care about you. A narcissist knows how to watch you and listen to you long enough to know what you need in order for them to reel you in. They throw bait out to see where you're going to bite. Remember that. So the sociopath and narcissist, they are shared, exaggerated, positive self-images and a sense of entitlement. For example, when they're abusive, they believe that they're justified and deny responsibility for their behavior. It's something that you did to cause them to go off. If you wouldn't have done that, then they wouldn't have went off like that. And you're the one who actually elevates me all the time. And and don't let them watch videos like this. They'll use all these videos against you, and then you think you're the narcissist, and you're not. They lack insight, although they might feign appropriate emotional reactions. This is usually insincere due to their lack of empathy and emotional responsiveness. So they don't know how to respond. It's almost, even, and I told you guys remember on the Addams Family when Wednesday went to a summer camp and she smiled. They kept telling her that she needs to smile, and she smiled, and everyone started screaming. And one little girl says, "I'm afraid," and their smiles look almost out of place. And I've seen many a picture of people that send pictures of themselves smiling, and I knew they were narcissists, and they smiled, and it was like ferocious. It was just terrible. It was scary. Like, please don't ever smile on another picture. Whatever you do on a picture, keep doing that. Don't show your teeth ever again. So there's some distinguishing traits. While sociopaths qualify as narcissists, not all narcissists are sociopaths. Not all narcissists are malignant narcissists, okay? What drives them differs. But the main distinction was that a sociopath is more cunning and manipulative because their ego isn't always at stake. In fact, they don't have any real personality. They're the ultimate con artists
See?
and can take on any persona that suits them: a coach, a counselor, a lawyer. Thus, they may be harder to spot because they're not trying to impress you or win your approval,
Yep.
unless it serves their agenda. Instead of bragging, their conversation might be centered on you rather than on themselves, and they can even be effic- yep, that word, efficacing, efficacious, yeah, yep, and
I know the feeling.
apologetic if it serves their goal. Associate, and those you don't pick on me because I can't pronounce word. I spoke German first. Thank you. A sociopath is more calculating and might premeditate aggression in advance. A narcissist is more likely to react sooner with lies and intimidation. Narcissists often work hard to achieve success, fame, and perfection, but may exploit others along the way. So imagine you're putting these two together. In contrast, sociopaths try to swindle, steal, or exploit others financially.
Told you.
Although both characters may be motivated to win at all costs, narcissists are more interested in what you think of them. They need others' admiration. This makes them dependent and codependent on others, not just one person, on everyone to provide them with fuel. Anyone that provides them with fuel. And actually capable, let me see. They need others' admiration. It makes them dependent and codependent on others and actually capable of being manipulated. So they can be manipulated too. Remember, they're not what they look like. They are an illusion. They're less likely to divorce their spouse than a sociopath, who might leave or vanish if they're exposed and don't get what they want.
Yep.
Narcissists will leave too. Okay, so you guys got that. So let's move on. Are you guys getting something out of this? Are you learning something? Are you guys understanding what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist? Okay, remember now, let's go to antisocial personality disorder. This is where the sociopath and psychopath has merged, and they've given it one diagnosis called antisocial personality disorder. According to the DSM-5, and I had it open. According to the DSM-5, 9 times out of 10, a person with antisocial personality disorder probably has already been displaying those behaviors before the age of 15. And some of the things that some of the features are failure to conform to social norms with respect of lawful behaviors as indicated by repeatedly performing acts that are grounds for arrest, deceitful, and this is coming from the manual, deceitful as indicated by repeated lies, uses of aliases, or conning others for personal profit or pleasure. Impulsive or failure to plan ahead, irritability and aggressiveness as indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults, reckless disregard for safety of self or others. That's to include psychological and emotional recklessness. Doesn't matter what they say, they'll make you feel like that they're very smart and know what they're talking about, and you'll believe it because you have hope and you want to believe something good. Consistent irresponsibility as indicated by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behavior or honor financial obligations. That includes family relationships, emotional responsibilities, lack of remorse as indicated by being indifferent or rationalizing having hurt, mistreated, or stolen from another. The individual is at least 18 years of age. There is evidence of chronic disorder with.
Now, I want to stop this to say, you're not gonna I have to have something to say. Now, when you have children that you see have these disorders, parents overlook it. They overlook it. But one thing I want to tell you is not to overlook it. You cannot change them. But what you could do is what's been told from longer than you can say it. You still have to teach them right from wrong. You can't teach your child how to love. You can't teach them how not to manipulate, how not to do a lot of stuff. But you have to reinforce when they do something, letting them know this is wrong, this is wrong, this is right, this is right. If you notice some of these behaviors in your children. So when they get older and somebody says, hey, they got to get used to hearing, You don't take something such and such. You got to teach them when they're young how to fix it. How to fix it. As a parent, you have to teach them. You have to work with what you have. You have to work with what you have. But you must enforce right, wrong. That's right. That is wrong. Why when I talk to you, okay, you know what? You got to learn how to also cut your child off. This behavior is not, I'm not going for this behavior. This conversation is over. This conversation is now over. Because you have to let the narcissistic child know that when you get older, people are not subjected to hear you go whant, 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 whant for no reason. You have a child that go off for no reason. Because you can't either, their mothers were either narcissistic and they was raised in a narcissistic household, or they, when their father left, a piece of them left with their father. Like their father is part of the puzzle in a child's body. And when a father's not there, a piece of them goes with the father. So a lot of them stay stunted. They stay stunted right there. That's the most betrayal ever, is when a parent leaves you. So now that child now cuts off all emotion. Father's not there, and the mother is narcissistic. So the child will now probably be both and have no emotions because they cut them off. And that's the making of a narcissistic person. And that's why you can't change them. And sometimes people stay with people trying to fill that void in them, but you cannot. You cannot. I done seen people been with people for years. And the prize that they will receive is, oh, you a ride or die chick. Or that man been with me through everything. That's no. Because it always come with, I've done this, I've done that, and they stuck by me. You hear that all the time with well, not just Nature Nut. I'm talking about Imani and TKO. Look how he brags all the time. He's doing that for a reason. He does that. Oh, Imani been there with me through everything. Imani been with me for 14 years. I'm the only man she ever deal with. That's her reward for, I mean, who wants that reward? That's all they're going to give you.
Onset before the age of 15, and the occurrence of antisocial behavior is not exclusively during the course of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. So see, there's other disorders that people can have. And so here it basically says the same thing, kind of broken down to make it sound easier. Violation of physical or emotional rights of others, lack of stability of job and home life, irritability and aggression, lack of remorse, consistent irresponsibility, reckless impulsiveness, deceitfulness, and childhood diagnosis or symptoms consistent with conduct disorder. You can find this on Psychology Today, antisocial personality disorder. Okay, let's move on to, you guys getting something out of this? Okay, this right here is talking about how to spot the sociopath. And this is Bill Eddy, licensed clinical social worker. And he's also a lawyer. He has a JD. So he's also in the legal. So they have a lot of experience in the legal. They see it in the courtrooms. Okay, so just to scroll down, I wanted to bring something up to let you guys know. The following are several hints you may pick up from someone by using this method. So you're dealing with sociopath. Now, remember antisocial, but sociopath. Remember that term sociopath I said at the beginning of the video. Their words. Sociopath are fast talkers. That doesn't mean they talk fast like I do. Fast talkers meaning they're hustlers. They're hustlers. That word salad, that word confusion. Their words are mostly, if not entirely, false, but they use many, many words designed to cover their behavior. They may be a completely different person from whom they say that they are. Watch out for extremes, big promises, big stories about the past or the future, and big plans with no basis for them or no experience at whatever they're planning. Extremely positive words. You're the best. I can't live without you. I'll never hurt you. You know, all these wonderful words that you're looking for, that your heart desires to hear. Extremely negative words. On the other hand, the words can
Damn. Every time I say something, she diagnosed what I say. She diagnosed exactly. JSL, hold on, baby. It gets even better. Because we're going to tell you what it does to your mind. Every time I say something, she diagnosed exactly what I say. The prize is you're the best. I just gave her, I ain't going to do it again, but I just gave y'all a great example with TKO and Amani. That's a perfect example. Now, and on poor Amani just don't know that's just game. That's just game. Oh, I didn't want her on the pole, but you took money from her being on the pole, right? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
can be extremely negative. Often after they've known you a little bit, that's when they start to gaslight. You know, the trauma bonding starts. They'll blame you. You become the target of their blame for minor non-existent offenses. The switcheroo. Remember I said about the bait and switch? A sociopath will often switch back and forth between extreme charm and extreme threats to get what they want. So they're bullies. And so are narcissists, depending on what they see or isn't working at the time. Watch out for strong opinions, which they then drop to adopt the opposite point of view, when it's convenient. They'll say one thing, and then when you maybe prove to them what they're saying is wrong and is legitimate, if they get through the argument or someone else agrees, then they may say, yeah, but that, that's what I was trying to say. You kind of misinterpret what I was trying to say. I couldn't really articulate myself. That's what I'm saying. And then they switch totally to the opposite. And you're thinking like, that is not what you just said. They will use whatever words they perceive as helping them dominate the situation at the moment, like an artist's palette of colors. They also figure out your weak spots and vulnerabilities, same as the narcissist. They play on them positively with words to boost your ego. So be careful. If you are vain, or if you are a vain person, or if you're prideful, they'll play into that. And that will destruct your emotions. How do you feel around the person? If it's often your emotion will first tell you to be aware. There's your red flags, and some of you guys have downplayed those red flags because your brain wants to believe them. You have that desire to believe goodness in people. You can't believe that people can actually be this bad. Many people marry sociopaths or hire them, do business deals with them, or elect them to responsible positions, even though they saw some warning signs. Don't dismiss what you see. Don't dismiss what you feel. If you don't feel right, go with that feeling. That's what many of you guys have discarded. You didn't go with the feeling. They wanted to believe the person's words rather than to pay attention to how they felt. Trust your feelings more than their words. If you have an uncomfortable, extreme feeling, check it out. Do a little research or ask around about what people think of so-and-so. Fear. One common feeling around a sociopath is that they could hurt you if they wanted to. Sociopaths can be predators. So you may naturally feel uncomfortable being alone with them. You may suddenly get the feeling that you want to get out of the situation. Go and don't ask questions. We'll ask questions later. Don't let them talk you out of your fears. Take your time and get more background information. Remember, narcissists too, they move fast, because they're trying to do something. They're moving fast. And if you're going with the flow, they're going to move fast. Think of a hustler, think of a drug dealer, think of a car, a person not all car dealers are hustlers, but they know how to hustle and they make a sale. They're good salesmen. They have a good pitch. They practice. This is the infatuation. This is the other extreme. Because of their many extremely positive words, people can fall in love with them, especially if you are lonely and grieving or have a low self-esteem at the time. So think about, you have Ted Bundy. You have so many women that were going Google and Gaga over this man, trying to get to him in prison, wanting to marry him. I think he did get married, didn't he? Then you have, you remember Ramirez, who was the Night Stalker, very handsome man, but very creepy, and he was into satanic stuff. But yet you had women that were flocking to him and just wanted to marry. I think he got married too, just because there's something about that danger that people are drawn to. Who else? Charles Manson. People just flocking to him. He just malignant narcissism. I don't know what they were, but malignant narcissists or sociopaths, psychopaths. People are drawn to that danger. You got to be careful. You got to check yourself out when you're drawn to danger. What is it in you? Your low self-esteem that just mesmerizes you about these people's voices. The voices are mesmerizing. What they say, how they say what they say. It's almost like you become hypnotized by them. You got to remember, these are all the tools that they use. I don't care where they are. I don't care what care they're under. They're still who they are. A snake is gonna bite if a snake is going to bite. That's what they do. That's their natures. Tigers don't change their stripes. Scorpions are going to sting if you get too close. That's their defense mechanism. A bee, if agitated, is going to sting you, then they're going to die. An animal is an animal, and they are, especially animals in the wild. A lion is still a wild animal. You go in there and mess with them, they're going to eat you, or they're going to bite you. They're going to kill you. A narcissist is a narcissist. Narcs are going to narc. That's what they do. I think Quinn Holiday said that. Narc is going to narc. They narc. That's what they do. So you got to remember what you're dealing with. But then when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist, you're dealing with a person, a narcissist sociopath. You're dealing with a malignant narcissist with anti-personality disorder. And they are what they are. Another thing you need to pay attention to is extreme sympathy. If you find yourself feeling extremely sympathetic towards someone, you may want to check that out. If you're over sympathetic, you might want to check that out before you say anything and stroke them. Sociopaths are skilled at claiming they have been victims and tell good stories to go with it. They often take advantage of people in vulnerable and sympathetic situations. That's why a lot of you that are empaths were sucked into it, because you're over empathetic, and they drew onto those sensitivities that you have for people. You got a good heart, and so they drew onto those sympathy and empathetic features or your personality. That's your personality. Let's see. By playing hard on your sympathy, they may be able to get you to do things you would not normally do for anybody else. And some of you guys have said that. Their behavior, the 90% rule. Let's see. Ask yourself, would you ever do that? When you see certain behavior, extreme behavior is common for sociopath. They quickly cover it up with excuses. Oh, you know what? I really apologize. I was really, really tired. And when I get tired, sometimes I do and say things that I did not mean. Please forgive me. I still need to work on myself. I was under a lot of stress. I was under a lot of stress. Please forgive me. I did not mean to say that. I know it hurts your feelings, but you've given them the sign. It worked, when they play on your sympathy, you're like, oh, okay, it's only right to forgive. You're right. I'm not a mean person. He or she made me do it. If it wasn't for this right here, you pushed me to do this, and this is what ended up happening. You see, I ended up getting myself in trouble because I love you so much, and I just do crazy stuff because I love you. Now that's crazy, but think about it. Most of us have fell for it, right? I had to do it, given what the person did. It almost didn't matter what the behavior was. Their excuses are often the same. They're always blameless and rarely apologize unless they're caught, and it makes them look good. So even their apologies are not real. Targets of blame. So remember, remember we talked about that before. When they flip it around and you become the blame, they focus on targets of blame. So people they feel justified in treating cruelly, whether their families or at work or their community. So they justify, and this is sociopaths, smiles and smirks and laughter. One surprising aspect is to see how they enjoy people's pain and hardship. Some of you guys have said it about the narcissist as well. When you were crying, or when you were hurting, or when you were begging and pleading, it's like they have this smirk on their face, like they feel satisfied that they were able to cause this pain. In legal cases, when he was saying, because he's a lawyer, I've seen sociopaths smile, smirk, or outright laugh when a victim tells their story in a deposition or in open court. It gets your attention because, again, 90% of people would rather do that. They would know better and feel some empathy for the victim. If you see someone smiling, smirking, or laughing out loud as they watch another person's pain on TV or in a movie or on the street at an accident, you may be watching a sociopath who can't help themselves or themselves. Childhood behavior history. Remember, we talked about the conduct disorder. So hopefully you guys are getting something out of that. You get an understanding of what a malignant narcissist is. Okay, let's see. So we've already went over the sociopath, antisocial personality disorder, psychopathy. What is psychopathy? And this is on Psychology Today again. So psychopathy is among the most difficult disorders to spot. The psychopath can appear normal, even charming, Underneath, he or she lacks conscious and empathy, making him or her manipulative, volatile, and often by no means always criminal. So they're not always criminal, but criminal. They are objects of popular fascination and clinical anguish. Adult psychopathy is largely impervious to treatment, meaning you can't treat it through programs are in place. Okay, so we'll pass that. The terms psychopath and sociopath are often used interchangeably. Now you know it's called antisocial personality disorder. But in correct parlance, a sociopath refers to a person with antisocial tendencies that are ascribed to social or environmental factors, whereas psychopathic traits are more innate, though a chaotic or violent upbringing may tip the scales for those already predisposed to behave psychopathically. Both constructs are most closely represented in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the DSM, what we talk about as antisocial personality disorder. So psychopathy, so the DSM doesn't use psychopath or sociopath anymore. Let's see. A psychopath is the psychopathic mind. Psychopathy is a spectrum disorder and can be diagnosed. So they're telling you how it's diagnosed. So the bar for clinical psychopathy is a score of 30 or higher. Serial killer Ted Bundy scored 39. Okay, let's see. So we got that. So this is the last one, and then I'm done. I know this is a long video. So the difference between a psychopath versus a sociopath, we talked about narcissists before, right? So we talked about the traits of a psychopath. Here, and this is on Psych Central. This is by John M. Gorhold. He's a PsyD. He's a psychologist. He's the founder and the editor-in-chief. And what he said was that psychology researchers generally believe that psychopaths tend to be born. It's likely a genetic predisposition, while sociopaths tend to be made by their environment, which is not to say that psychopaths may also suffer from some sort of childhood trauma. Psychopathy might be related to physiological brain differences. Research has shown psychopaths have underdeveloped components of the brain commonly thought to be responsible for emotion, regulation, and impulse control. And remember, with a narcissist, they have a problem in the prefrontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, which is the emotional, the emotional and the personality formation. And remember, they have a problem with the empathy and compassion and also the oxytocin, the bonding chemicals. And so you know that they have also, through trauma, some type of trauma, have been altered, usually in a young age, and it just grows worse with time.
Okay, that completes what I was saying. And you men who sits up there and make these videos about these horrible women, but then again, you'd rather make a video about your baby mama. You'd rather make a video about women, submission, and all this other snap. But none of y'all make a video stating that I had to go save my child because her mother's narcissistic. Yeah, you in a video calling the women narcissistic. But what do you do about it? What did you do about it? Huh? Did you go save your child? Do you understand what narcissistic really means? If you understood, why would you leave your child there? So now you're going to have a narcissistic / sociopath child. And you played a part in it. And don't care. You don't care. So that must mean that poor child had 2 narcissistic parents. And then you wonder why nothing you say can get through to some kids who now turn into adults. Let's go. How narcissistic change your brain. And then the last one is narcissistic stress and related illnesses. Because these people get you sick. These people really get you sick. That old saying, you get me sick, that's a true statement. You get me sick. Yeah, people do get you sick. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
it really blew my mind because she was talking about the frequency of words, and she was talking about the frequency of God's word. But when she, it's like the eagle gets the food and regurgitates back to the little chicklets, the little baby eagles. And so, always know that when you have teachers and coaches, I'm not your mom, but she's my spiritual mom. So it's like she feeds, she studies, and then she regurgitates and gives us this information. And she
Yeah.
she downloaded this information. It was so powerful. I had to take notes because I wanted to come back. And then as a teacher, a teacher should always be learning. A teacher should always be in a position of learning. If you get beyond your teacher, then that teacher is no longer your teacher. Then you need to move on to someone that is, that's able to bring you information. Because once you start listening to someone and they're boring and you're not getting anything out of them anymore, it's time you've graduated. It's time for you to move on. It doesn't make you better than them. It just means that you graduated, you moved on. So some of you guys, it'll get to a point where you may graduate from here and you move on to someone that can stimulate your mind and make you think. And so I got this information and I wrote it down because I was like, man, I'm gonna come back and I wanted to teach you guys this. And so let's go, and I'm going to break it down in pieces, okay? And so you have to remember that when you were with the narcissist, that narcissist groomed you. They groomed you and they taught you how to respond, and they use words. And so remember, many of you guys were asking, does the narcissist know what they're doing? So the lower grade narcissists are completely emotional and reactive, and they don't understand totally what they're doing. They just like the response, not the response, but they like the reaction that they get from what they're doing. And so they do things and they're getting reactions. They like the way it feels. As they move up into the more mid-grade narcissist, the mid-grade narcissist begins to understand that when I push this happens. And so they're experimenting now. Now they're paying more attention that when I do certain things and when I say certain things, they react this certain way. And they're learning like, okay, it doesn't work for her, or it doesn't work for him, but let me try this, so they're now realizing that certain things that they're doing is causing certain reactions and they like it. A greater narcissist is very, very calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. And the words that, so they know what they're doing, they just don't know that how effective it is in what they're doing. They're perfecting, it's like they're perfecting their art. But the words that they speak, and that's why we have here in the United States, we have talk therapy, mental health therapy, because it takes time, especially like in trauma work. In trauma work, you're having to help them. That's why I make eclectic. I don't just choose one modality to follow because each individual is different. And so I have a repertoire or a plethora of different trainings that I've been through. And as I meet people, I apply, and I put my personality in it, but I apply those certain skills that I know to help them through their process. Each individual person is different, but I do understand the power of words. And I think it's for every one word, there's 13 words to overthrow that one word that was spoken to you. So imagine how many words have been spoken into your mind by, sorry, you guys, by, I don't want to wipe my whole eyebrow off because it's itching. So then I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I'm missing the eyebrow. But that narcissist, they're saying things and they're reprogramming your mind. That's just like a computer. You have to think with a computer. Computers are coded. So those of you that are coders, that when, for us to get on the computer, we just do things and it happens. We don't understand the intricate workings of programming the computer and how each code does something. There's codes for color. And I saw it one time because I was able to, I got an experience, I experienced being able to code something. And it was amazing because I put these codes in there. It's a whole nother language. And I put this code in there and all of a sudden this picture shows up, while I was reading, do this. And when I did this, a color showed up. And I was like, wow. So these codes are talking to this computer that creates what you see on the screen. So to us, it's very easy. We put it in there. But to people that program, they understand that it's a specific language that is put into the computer to make the computer do certain things. No different than the words that are put into your mind. So positive.
Now, if you always hear, I'm quite sure we all hear from Nature Boy, well, it's a computer. You don't really know me. I'm on the screen, right? Because Nature Nut is he is a malignant narcissist. He's a high level narcissistic person, very high level. See, like I said, you will have to have a trained eye to see this. Or you will have to watch somebody's behavior. That's why it don't make sense to argue with people, especially if you know they're narcissistic, because you are now giving them supply. That's why every time Nature Boy goes to like any other cult, they'll go to, or somebody ever tell you ain't nobody gonna love you like me, you should be like, you damn Skippy. I don't want nobody to love me like you, god damn it. No. But they use but these words and stuff is drilled in people's minds so much. That's why people wonder why. Why every time somebody leave Nature Boy, nobody goes to the cops? Because he puts something in their mind. If they go to the cops, this will happen. People is getting very upset on why some people, they don't call the cops or go get help, and oh, they could do a video. A lot of times what we don't know what goes on when the camera is not on. They are being programmed. We should be just thankful that they got the skills to leave. And you have to have skills to leave a narcissistic person. You don't need strength. You need skills, because they use their skills against you. So now you have to pick up on that person's skills in order to leave. And the first thing we go is, oh, they just in it for the money. Like I said, we don't know what cold words. And as people still watch them, they still hear them words. That's why none of them ain't going to the cops. Because he programmed them behind the scenes not to go to the cops. And then he made you participate in things that he's going to do it where you can see it on screen. And what's going to be in your mind is, damn, I remember when I did that with him. I remember when I did that too. So that's another way of programming the mind. Is if he does violence and he made the other girls beat up the other girls, even though you may have escaped, it's still going on. And you still hear people saying that he have girls jump other girls. So in their mind, they see, oh, wow, I was part of that. I was part of that. Or I watched this happen. So he makes sure he shows that behavior. So that will trigger your memory to remember that was you too. If you guys understand what I'm saying. Because I'll break it down to the smallest minuscule. Don't play. Yeah, I know I will.
And negative words have frequency, and it also has the power to change the chemicals in your mind, has the power to change how you think. And so let me get to this. So there's an experiment. If you go to daybreaker.com, is rethink the words. So you hear people say, choose your words wisely. So there's this. So this is, let's look. Who is the author? Okay, let me find the author, guys. We'll make sure that we do proper credit. Well, it says Unlock Secret Invites, our monthly roundup global mischief. Okay, hold on. So, well, the website is daybreaker.com, rethink the words. It doesn't have the author on here. It says Morning Mischief. And then it says, this experiment will make you rethink the words you tell yourself. Dr. Emoto's ice crystals are a nerdy wet dream. Okay. Not that one. There's another. So, you some of you have heard of the experiment of speaking words into water and then freezing it and looking under the microscope to see how the crystals formed. On one of them, the crystals, with the positive words, the words of love and affirmation, the crystals were very bright and beautiful. And then the other crystals that formed in the water that people spoke very negative words of hate and kill. The way that they showed up under the microscope is very ugly. It was not beautiful. It was ugly and kind of dark. But let's see. Dr. the teacher, Dr. Emoto. Let me go down to the rice experiment. So he did a rice experiment, and he instructed people to fill 3 glasses of water with rice. One would be labeled love, the next labeled hate, and the third would have no label. So that's your abandonment, your rejection. The parents didn't nurture the child or anything like that. So think of it like that, okay? For the next 30 days, people conducting the experiment will speak to the jars of rice every day, according to the prompts on the label. Get over the weirdness. What happens is worth it. Okay, so they're just giving you some advice. It's weird, but let's get over that. That's what they're saying. So the love jar could hear compliments, words of praise, and assurance of love. The hate jar would hear, I hate you, you're ugly, and a myriad of mean put downs. The final label less jar would be totally ignored. So sadness, depression. So in every case, in every experiment, the rice in the love jar stayed impeccably white. The rice in the hate jar grew spores and mold. In some incidents, it took on the form of unidentified goop. The same went for the rice, which was totally ignored. Spores, mold, ickiness, gross goop. So they said, in bunch of the cases, the ignored rice looked even worse than the hated rice. So let's see. So what they were saying is pretty much the water was absorbing the good and bad vibes and the ill words, the ill intentions, and well as the praise and the love, they were having effects on the rice. So think about it, we're talking about food. So if this is happening with food, imagine what's happening when the narcissist is putting these words into your head. When you have somebody, for example, the coaches that are on here, that's why I'm very meticulous. Right now the audience is not super huge, so I still have the ability to kind of look through the comments. And hold on. Hi there. How are you? How can I help you?
Kaiser Behavioral Health.
On the 3rd floor. As soon as you come out the elevator, take a right. It's right.
I'm on the wrong.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, you guys. So I do have people that walk in from time to time. Sorry about
Hello,
that.
Ari.
But so think about it. So where was I at? Let me go back. Okay, so think about it. The words that's what I was saying. So right now the audience is not so big that I don't have the capacity or the ability through the times between clientele to go through and look at comments. That's why I'm very meticulous at what people are saying on the YouTube channel, because my goal is, first of all, you have entrusted me. You've come and subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so I feel it honorable, and as I told you guys, I say it over and over again, I'm a former soldier. Well, I'm not a former soldier. I'm a veteran. I'm always a soldier. And I was a senior leader. My whole responsibility through the military was training and leading soldiers and then training the trainers. I have that training, that my whole thing is to train and to protect. That's what soldiers do. They train and protect. And so even on the YouTube channel, my goal is always to help you grow, give you new words to change the way that you are thinking about your situation. That's why I use humor a lot too, to break that monotony, because when you're dealing with trauma work, you have to remember that a lot of you are so traumatized and so hurt that, if I let you stay at that level and not interject maybe a joke, and that's why I don't mind joking, because it breaks that monotony and changes the way that you're thinking for that moment. It breaks you out of, you may have started thinking about that trauma, and I may say something and it'll kind of shift you for a moment to cause you to laugh. You don't know whether to laugh or cry, and laugh and cry at the same time. You're sad, but you're happy at the same time. You see what I mean? And so I'm very meticulous at what people post on YouTube, because I know you're reading the words. And those words, though they may not be spoken out of the mouth, you're saying them. And even your thoughts have power, or frequency. Your thoughts have the capacity of drawing pictures. And so I'm very meticulous at what people say on YouTube and what they say and how they respond to you. As the audience grows bigger, I just want you to know that it may not be possible for me to look at all the comments, And so I want you guys just to be aware that I do look as much as I possibly can. And when there are trolls or little baby narcs on there, that's cute, baby. No. Okay. But anyway, when you have people on there trolling and making comments, or even when they're making nasty comments to me, I already know that I hit something. Usually when you hit the queen bee, all the bees fly out. So usually when you hit something, that's when they come out and they have something negative to say. So I'm very meticulous at the words that are being said to you guys and the words. And that's why I think one or two of the viewers, some of them were having a conversation about the different coaches that are on YouTube and what they're doing. Some of them are actually narcissists. I haven't been able to go and look at some of the channels that you guys were telling me. One of them I did go look, and I because of the fact it would take me having to go through the videos to kind of look to see what you guys are talking about. I saw maybe 1 or 2 videos. I didn't pick up anything at that time, but it might mean that I have to go look at some more of the videos.
She's a
but
doctor.
I'm not here. One thing that you want to watch out, even with the coaches, is when they're smearing some of.
She's a doctor. And the point of me showing you these videos, because I discuss this every single day. But everything that I say, I like to back up. So I speak upon the word narcissistic, psychopath, sociopath, social disorder, and things like that. I want y'all to also hear it from a doctor. I want y'all, but she's still a therapist, though. She says she's still a therapist. You're correct there, but she's a doctor, right? So that's why I always make sure we get that education in. I remember before when I used to do nature nut videos, I used to, this is how much I used to put in time giving you guys videos. I will watch the video and see which behavior he is displaying. And then I will find a video with the behavior he's displaying for that day. So when he used to be using the word salad, I will make sure I put a video about word salad. If he's gaslighting, I will make sure I put a video about gaslighting on. If he's hoovering, I will make sure I put a video about hoovering on before the video start. And then I'll put the nature nut on there, because you need to know these things. And hopefully y'all men, this is especially for y'all men who detest, unless you're narcissistic. I'm talking about the men who's not narcissistic. For the men who just detest the women because something is wrong with them, this is not for you. But for the regular man, the minute you say that your baby mother is a narcissist and you do nothing, just know what's going on in the house with that child. You will have to do everything you can to save your child, because your child is going to be worse than the mother. The child is going to be worse than the mother. Why would you birth a child? Hello, Baron. Why would you want to birth the child just to know that that child is going to end up in heaven, hell, or jail? Because that's where that child is going to end up at, heaven, hell, or jail. I know people have used that word narcissist in every instance of behavior irregularly without knowing what it is. Exactly. And that's why I don't watch when people throw around that. If I know the person that you're talking about and you constantly throwing up that word all the time, my focus now goes to you. My focus now goes on you. If I know the person, I know people do effed up things. That's part of life. People are going to do you dirty. That's part of life. But that does not make them a narcissistic person. That just means they was young, immature. They don't give a shizzle or anything like that. Y'all men have to go save your kids. Save your kids. It's funny how narcissists comment on narcissists. That's true. That's true. But usually they just started that because people made the word narcissistic trendy. Because they tell you that bullshit story. And people take myths. A myth is what it is, a myth. All this Greek shit, that's why I refuse to learn all this Greek stuff. These are all myths. It has not been proven. These people don't exist. I'm not taking no class with a bunch of characters that do not exist. But it was a story that a man, he was so handsome, he kept the mirror in his face because he cared how much he looked about himself. And he was so vain. Yeah, Greek mythology, that's what I said. And then he looked in the water, and then he fell in the water and he died. And I'm like, that's somebody who's beyond vain. That is not what a narcissistic person is. If somebody is, let's say, conceited, that doesn't make them a narcissist. They're not doing nothing to your life. They're not bothering anybody. If they want to look in that mirror all day, God dang it, look in the mirror all day. If somebody thinks it's all about them, that doesn't make them they're only a narcissistic person when they inflict their behavior on you to terrorize your life. If they're not terrorizing your life, that's just their personality. You need to care about yourself a little bit more, so you don't care about what they're doing with themselves and worry about what you're doing with yourself. But that's not narcissistic. It's when they enter in your life, or there are people in your life that tries to destroy. Key word is destroy your life. I'm not talking about being petty. You got some people that's petty, but you have to ask for it. A lot of people do not have narcissistic traits. Some people, that's another myth. Some people, they are what they are. They just say because some people are vain, they say it's narcissistic. They're not narcissistic. They're just vain. Narcissistic means you have no empathy and you come to destroy. I come to destroy. You cannot destroy nobody because you look at yourself every day. You cannot destroy nobody because you think the world revolves around you. No. That is absolutely correct. And then you was early to class. I said that earlier. But you came to class now, Baron, so we good. We good. Because we got to get to how it gets you sick. You can't be always right. See, the thing is, it's not about being right or wrong. This is not about right or wrong. I'm going to say yes, but when I teach, that's why I have doctors on here. But psychology is not opinion. This is why he's late for class. So he doesn't understand what I was saying earlier. So I'm not going to have that conversation because he doesn't know if what I'm saying is coming from me, but he doesn't understand I'm doing commentary on what she says. He's late for class. Now, if he was, I didn't say I knew you, Byron. I'm saying that you don't know what I said because you came in late. So I agreed with you. And I also said that I'm doing commentary on what she said. See, now I'm not going back and forth. Let's continue this because we got one more video.
Other coaches' channel. When they're wanting all the views and it's all about numbers and they're smearing other.
But you do know what I'm saying has nothing to do with what you said. I'm not no, she just got that big wig on her head. When she ain't got that wig on her head, she's 100% woman, and she's a beautiful woman. It's just that wig. Y'all ain't hear Trejo say that wig got to go. That wig got to go. But she's 100% woman, and that wig is not on. She got her days, but she's a beautiful woman.
other people or other coaches or other people that are educating on it. Everybody has their own unique style. I'm not for everybody. I'm very direct and straightforward. I'm gonna tell you like it is. If you can't handle it, then I need you to get out the kitchen. So if you can't handle the heat, if you don't like chitlins, get out the kitchen. Go somewhere else where there's vegan and vegetarian food. But I'm the type of person, I'm gonna give you meat. We're gonna eat some meat. For those of you that are vegans, no pun intended, but we're gonna eat some meat. We're gonna eat some heavy stuff, and I'm gonna keep it real because you spent a lot of time with this narcissist, and this narcissist putting these words in your head. A lot of these female narcissists that work very hard and emasculate, that's the word, emasculating you guys as kings, as men. No woman has a right to come in and change, how you perceive. Some people, some women have never learned how to be women and wives and moms and mothers. They didn't have an example. Some men have never really had an example of what a man really is. But how's a woman going to come and tell a man what a man's supposed? You're not a man. The man is supposed to. Well, first of all, a woman has never been a man before. So how's a woman going to tell a man how to be a man if a man was born a man? Now, I'm not, what would I like to say without being disrespectful? No, I'm not attacking the LGBTQ community. You guys are my brothers and sisters by different mothers and sisters, mothers and misters, sorry. But what I'm saying is that if a man was not biologically, genetically, born as a man, there are certain things, testosterone, certain things that they know as a man. So as a woman that was born woman, you don't know what it is to feel and think and be a man. And when I say that, like I said, I'm kind of more toward like the heterosexual type relationships at this particular time, because same-sex relationships, I really don't know how to address that, because many of you are females and females or males and males, and so I don't know how to address that because it's the same sex. So, I don't know, hierarchy. I don't know how that works. Now, I'm just referring like into the heterosexual community, for example, is how is a woman going to tell a man how to be a man? You've never been a man. So that's just like a man trying to tell a woman, you ain't no woman. A woman is supposed to do this and that and this and this. Well, each person is unique. Each person is unique. This woman might like to cook. Well, this businesswoman doesn't like to cook and has no interest in cooking. This man likes to cook, but this woman doesn't like to cook. And it just happens to work out perfectly. One partner has a strength that the other partner doesn't have. That's what makes it so unique.
But it's crazy. I did a video. I said the same exact thing she said. You won't believe the comments that was left. You will not believe the comments that was left when I say everybody's an individual. And the same thing, I ain't got to go over it again due to timing. But when I said the same thing, I'm quite sure they probably hit her comments up too. When I look, because I read every comment. I read every comment. I read them. And I see some of them go straight to spam. Now, if it wasn't good enough for it to go on the page, because YouTube sent it straight to spam, that's where it shall stay. So sometimes y'all don't see your comments. I do not erase comments. I leave comments there. But if you don't see your comment on my video, that means spam did it. And it's a shame that people don't understand that. They so hooked on what role you supposed to play. No, this is who I am. These are my positives. These are my negatives. And the same thing goes for a man. Like she said, some men like to cook. So let them like to cook and meet a woman who don't like to cook. Because a man just didn't pick up cooking from getting older. He used to, something about the kitchen when mommy was cooking or grandma was cooking that made him interested in doing that. He wanted to learn how to make that. It became a passion of his. And guess what? I tell people, if women are supposed to do the cooking and cleaning, why are the top chefs make the most money? Why are the top chefs that are men have more restaurants and make more money? When you watch these food channels, you could count the women You can count the women, but it's more men that have these restaurants and head chefs. Even the little restaurants that we go to in our own part of town are men chefs or men cooking. A lot of times you go into that store and you say, give me a bacon, egg, and cheese to go. That's usually a man who's doing it, right? And that's simply bacon, egg, and cheese. You let people be who they are. I tell you, when God give you a job to do what God tell you to do. He give you an assignment, you take it.
But the words, you guys have been in a relationship where words, you guys have taken upon people's words and you're living out somebody else's negative words. And think about it, if you have jars of rice that had negative words spoken to it, and it creates spores and mold and goop. If that happens to rice, imagine what's happening to your head. Imagine all the words, and some of you, even your words are messing you up, because some of you get right on here and say, I am so jacked up. I am so depressed. Well, your mind is like a computer system. Remember the coding? When you start coding, you begin to act out what you put into your head. If you stare at something long enough, I'm not saying you stare at a chicken and you turn into a chicken. That's just not going to happen. I don't care. You can sit in the garage all day long. You're just not going to turn into a car.
That is absolutely not true. Men adjustment, but that is not true. It's just that we've been placed what a woman's job is so much. It appear that men are more business focused. But women is just as business focused. I was just saying men cook so good, they have a lot of restaurants because they cook good. They are the best chefs. That's what I was saying. But business, no. You got that wrong, alien blood. And we are afforded. Let me tell you something. Mama thought if Mama was a good cook, didn't she have them fish fry days when she sold the fish? Mama was always business minded now. Mama will sew a dress. She'll make clothes for people. That's a business. Selling food from out your house. That's a business. Doing people here. That's a business. Growing up, but not these days, but my days, you didn't have to really go to the beauty parlor because a friend knew how to do it. One of your friends knew how to do your hair. You didn't have to even go to the beauty parlor. One of your friends knew how to do. That's a business. So we was always in business, alien blood. We just didn't have the capital. Didn't have the capital. But shoot, Mama sat there. I seen plenty of. I knew a lot of them. If they know how to bake good pies, they sold them pies. That's business. That's how a lot of us was able to sustain. Mama always had a hustle. Mama had a hustle. But men, I don't know. Men, yeah, men be getting down. Men get down, baby. Some of them, and I don't know, but a lot of men are a little bit more detailed. A little bit more detailed. They like things like, I love a male chef. I don't know why. They're a little bit more detailed. The women are detailed too. But for some reason, the men are a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just going to eat it and mess up your beautiful design. Sometimes I have gotten food and it was so beautiful looking, I didn't even eat it. I'm like, can I have something else, please? I took a picture of it, but I did not want to cut in that creation. I don't know if y'all ever felt that way, but I felt that way. Somebody created something so beautiful, I didn't want to mess it up. what end up happening is I can't put it in the plate. They try anything, and it's yeah, exactly, JSL. For me to eat that creation, the lady who serves the food will have to put the food, yeah, art on a plate. They will have to put the food in a container for me to take home. So once they remove the food from the plate and put it in a container for you to take home, it changed up. It changed up so then now I can eat it. But when they make us really beautiful creation that art on the plate, I be like, I can't. I just feel so bad. I'm like, they took their time and did this to the T. See, I put thought in everything. I put thought and intent in everything. But I'm one of them people. If it's art on the plate, don't give it to me. Don't give it to me like that. I just feel like I took your creation, even though they want you to eat it. They want you to eat it. That's the purpose. But I be feeling bad. I'm like, you gotta put in another plate or something. Change it up a little bit so I can eat this sucker.
You know what I mean? But the words will also change your mood. Your word, the images in your head are pictures, are words not spoken yet. So you got pictures in your head, and the more you focus on those pictures, you'll turn them into words. And as you turn those into words, it has frequency. If someone says, I love you, you mean the world to me, versus, yeah, I love you, you can feel the difference in the frequency of those words. You see what I mean? You see how powerful that is? And so if those words can change rice into mush, mold, and spores, then imagine the words that they've spoken into you, what's happening to your brain. Now, let's go to the next thing. So this here is, hold on, let me look, put it in order. So this one is Sharp Brains, Tracking Health and Wellness Application of Brain Science. And this is by Brain Plasticity, How Learning Changes Your Brain by Dr. Pascale Michelon. Okay, so I just wanted to give this part. You've heard of you heard of plain plastic, which is not meaning that the brain is not made of plastic. So you guys know it's not made of plastic, but neuroplasticity or brain plasticity refers to brain ability to change throughout life. And so if you read the studies, when a baby is born, the brain weighs a certain amount, but throughout life, the brain actually becomes heavy. You know, think about all the words and all the experiences and all the knowledge and, you know, things that you learn. That brain is heavy with knowledge. Think about it. We'll just use it like that. It's heavy with knowledge. And so in addition to genetic factors, the environment in which a person lives, as well as the actions of each person, play a significant role in plasticity. And so neuroplasticity occurs in the brain at the beginning of life when the immature brain organizes itself. So it's trying to organize itself. In the case of brain injury, to compensate for lost function or maximum remaining functions. So remember, a lot of you guys, go back and look at my video about brain damage that occurs in domestic violence, or especially in the narcissist abuse. You know, there is some brain damage. And some of you are thinking of TBI or brain damage to a point where you lose your fine motor skills. You're not able, but it's that brain fog. It's not being able to think quickly. You know, some people sound like they're dyslexics, but they're not. You know, you question yourself. You know, you question anything, any kind of decision you make. Now you question those decisions because that narcissist trained you to think like that.
Now, if anybody watch Nature Nut, Nature Boy, what she is now explaining is why Malia, Aya, FBI, Malaya, and Fufu, and anybody else who's around him, why they talk like they have a delay. This is why we call them special. This is why we say their light bulb don't go to the top, because they have received so much harshness from that malignant narcissistic person that now it affected their brain. Why they don't leave? Because he affected their brain. They have brain damage. I need for you to understand why I'm putting these videos out here. I need for you to understand. Why I'm showing you these videos? Because some people get brain damage and illness. I will tell you the illnesses will come in the next video. Right after she finished, I'm going to the next one. But it does change your brain. Go ahead, my doctor sister, my sister from another mister.
By the words that they spoke, or even the facial expressions that they made, or the body language, or how they laughed at you or mocked you. So throughout adulthood, whenever something new is learned and memorized, so the brain has the capacity to change and create new connections and dendrites and all these little highways, super highways in your brain. So imagine when you're being abused and all those negative hatred. Remember, they hate you. Anything good about you, they hate. So anything negative they can say, they're going to say. So think about it. Those little dendrites, those little trees in your brain is being stunted. They're stunted. They're not connecting like they're supposed to. They're misfiring. Some of you guys, brain fogs, memory issues, major depression, anxiety. And so let's look. Okay, that's all I want to say from there. Now let's go to the next one, which is... So this one, and some of this, my mentor talked about last night. We were talking about frequencies and hertz. Is it megahertz? Okay, but let me just, I absorb from her so that I can get something and bring it back to you. So here it says, and this is fractalpanda.com. Hack your mind, understanding brainwave frequencies. And this is who wrote this? By Matthew Warburton. And this is, okay, so your brain operates with a certain bandwidth of frequencies, which can be measured using scientific equipment such as the EEG scans. And so millions of neurons are busy firing away, and the signals they communicate to each other create a electrical activity, which is measured as brain wave pattern. By understanding your brain wave frequency, you can learn to hack your mind. And so let's look. So the day-to-day, the brain operates at frequencies of between 0.5 hertz and 90 hertz, which are broken down into categories ranging from deep sleep, delta state, all the way up to hyper alert gamma state. And some of you guys are operating in hyper alert gamma state all the time, can't even go to sleep, always nervous, always hyper vigilant. That's a part of post-traumatic stress. And so if your brain waves measure 18 hertz, then you probably are busy and alert, or you're worried and stressed. If your brain waves measure 5 hertz, then you're probably in a trance-like state. Otherwise, you're asleep. Imagine being in a trance-like state where your mind has been so overloaded by the trauma that you've gone through with this narcissist that you literally begin to shut down in order to function. You go into this trance state or this like dream-like state. That's why in post-traumatic stress, you also have the diagnosis called post-traumatic stress with dissociation, which is like a trance-like state where you literally zone out in order to, that's why a lot of times with the trauma, you also have like dissociative disorder where the mind just completely dissociates, splits in order to survive. Well, even in post-traumatic stress, there is what's called depersonalization and dissociation. And so if you're in a trance-like state, it's almost like you're trying to calm yourself down where you mentally almost like dissociate with the world in order to maintain calm or some type of peace. But what's happening is, the problem is that you can't even function. You're not even functioning. You're like in a robotic state. And
Amani, Malaya, FBI. They're not as dumb as you think they are. But they're put in the state that TKO and Nature Boy put them in.
You're doing things out of habit. That's not good. So let's see. Okay, so that's what I wanted to bring out of that. So imagine the words and the trauma that you've been going through or have gone through with that narcissist, how it affected your brain waves. And so let's see. Let's go to the next one. So the next one I wanted to go to is shift frequency. Let's see, shiftfrequency.com, and this is Raven Fawn. And here she was talking about speak with love, how words literally reconstruct your brain. That's why I find it very imperative, because I am a trauma professional. I'm very cognizant of words that are being used by the survivor, because a lot of the words that are being used are not their own words. They're repeating what has been downloaded into them, just like a computer. They've been programmed a certain way, and there's certain codes that were released in them by that narcissist. And now what's happening, like the computer, all of a sudden, the screen changes, you have colors on there. It's because of the coding. You know that there's coding in the background, and there's a program running in the background to do what it's doing. Well, when a person comes in that has been traumatized, I listen to what they're saying so I understand how they were programmed. So if I want to know what the abuser has said or what they have been doing, and this could be throughout life, your family of origin, narcissistic parents, trauma throughout life, and then that narcissistic partner that you're with. All I need to do is hear what you're saying and how you're saying what you're saying. Even reading your comments, what are you saying gives me an idea of what was inputted in you. So I know that the coding that was put into your brain by what you're saying to me. So what makes trauma work very hard and exhausting a lot of times is that we're having to go in, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. For some therapists, they understand the modality and how they've been taught to do things, but you want to find someone that really understands what they're doing. If you ask me, I'll tell you, I need to recode your brain, because your brain has been coded a certain way through all the trauma and the information that was given, and the reality behind it has become your reality. So you don't see anything different because you begin to feel it. You feel the depression. You feel like you're unworthy. People do, and so just let me get to the words, okay? And so I do work very hard on reprogramming people, and that is a lot of work. A real trauma professional understands how much work that is to deprogram or recode a mind that's been traumatized, and especially those that have been through narcissist abuse. That's why I don't mind making videos that are a little long, because the words that are coming through the screen is affecting the way that you're thinking. And that's what my mentor said last night. As the words are coming out, it's changing the chemical components of your brain. As the words are coming out, as I'm talking, it's changing the way that you're thinking. You're getting new information. It's what's happening to those dead little highways and those blockages in your brains that have been drawn up by those hateful words that have been spoken. Remember the rice goop? The more that I speak and the more that you're listening, that's why I tell you guys, listen, Linda, listen. The more that I talk, the more those little dendrites, those little trees become alive again, and they start firing again. They start connecting, because some of you said, I feel refreshed, I feel empowered. And so even by saying that, that's just another, side note. When you're listening to these coaches on these YouTube videos, are you getting information and you have the information, or is the information making change? Is it changing your mood? Is it changing the way that you're thinking? Are you feeling empowered afterward? Or are you feeling angry? Or you feel like you want to go burn down the house, waiting to exhale? You want to go blow up the car, put his clothes or her clothes in the car and blow the car up, and then throw the match behind you. Well, if it's making you, I can understand being angered, when people are telling you or talking to you, you feel angered, you feel, and what we would call like a righteous anger, a right type of anger of this wrong that has been done. But is it helping you though? Because sometimes to help you, it hurts to help, to be able to tell somebody the truth, and they may not like what they hear, but it is the truth. You see what I mean? And some of you said, I'm going to tell the truth, but I'm going to do it in love. When I say in love of people, in love of helping, And so let's see here. So here, Raven Vaughn said, the words you choose to use can literally change your brain. See? Dr. Andrew Newberg, a neuroscientist at Thomas Jefferson University, and Mark Robert Waldman, a communication expert, collaborated on the book Words Can Change Your Brain. In it, they write, a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. So some of you guys are talking so negative. You say such negative things about yourself, but it lets me know at the negativity that was put into your computer frame, put it that way, put into your hard drive. So when you use words filled with positivity like love and peace, it can alter how your brain functions by increasing cognitive reasoning and strengthening areas in your frontal lobes. Using positive words more often than negative ones can kickstart the motivational centers of the brain, propelling them into action. But remember that a lot of times remember the narcissist said a lot of negative things about you. And in the beginning, you didn't believe what they were saying. And throughout time, they programmed you to believe what it was that they were saying. So now you have to go back and do the opposite. You have to say positive things about yourself. All those negative words that they've said about you, take it and then add the positive words until you feel it. To say I am beautiful and I am smart, but you don't believe it. You look in the mirror, you don't see it. It doesn't matter what you see, but it's what you begin to convince yourself of, because they took a long time to groom you. That's why a lot of them, they do invest in long-time relationship. I think someone asked me that. They do invest in long-time relationship because of the fact that they took so much time and energy to groom and mold that primary source of supply. Regardless of all the secondary supply that they had, they took a long time to groom and mold that primary source. That was a lot of work and energy. So they don't want to lose that primary unless they find another one that they have taken time to groom. But a lot of times they keep coming back. They keep hoovering you because it takes time to train the new narcissist. The new primary source of supply or the new source of supply. You may have been with them for 15, 20 some odd years. They've met this person and it's only 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You're more trained than the new one is trained. And so they'll keep hoovering you while they're working on the new supply. By the time either you discard, a lot of times they're so angry because they didn't have enough time to groom that new primary source the way that they wanted to. So now you get backlash as if it was your fault. And so let's see. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, where we use negative words, we're preventing certain neurochemicals from being produced, which contribute to stress management. Each and every one of us are initially hardwired to worry. It's our primal brain protects us from dangerous situations for survival. Now, when we allow negative words and concepts into our thoughts, we're increasing the activities in our brain fear center, the amygdala. I finally got it, you guys, the amygdala. The brain fear center. So causing stress producing hormones to flood our system, that fight, flight, or freeze, that adrenaline. These hormones and neurotransmitters interrupt the logic and reasoning process in the brain and inhibits normal functionality. So Newberg and Walden write, angry words send alarm messages through the brain and they partially shut down the logic and reasoning centers located in the frontal lobes. So think about how powerful these words are, and think about it. And so that leads me to say this, look how unique the body is. Even let me just read this one thing for you guys. Looking at tears under a microscope reveals shocking facts. It's simple capacity. I just happened to be looking over this while I was studying before I came on, and it was talking about this project called Topography of Tears. And let's see. Rosalind Fisher wondered if her tears of grief would look different compared to her tears of joy. So she explored them closer under a microscope. She studied 100 different tears and found that basal tears, those are the ones that our body produces to lubricate the eyes, are drastically different from the tears that happen when chopping onions. The tears that come out from hard laughter aren't even close to the tears of sorrow. Like a drop of the ocean water, each tiny tears carry a microcosm of human experience. So if your body is so uniquely made and everything about your body is so unique and can be affected by a narcissist, think about how your thought and your brain has been affected by a narcissist. That's why you choose words wisely. So a lot of you that are so negative about yourself, I'm so hurt, I'm hurting so bad, you got to take that and you got to change it. I'm hurting so bad, but I'm going to get through this. Add something positive. Yes, you are hurting. This is the pain that you feel. Your heart is broken. Your family has been damaged. You have lost a lot. But the one thing that I did when I was grabbing my boots and standing back up, like the Incredible Hulk stood back up, the one thing that I kept saying is, yep, you did a low blow. You hurt me and my heart is really hurting, but I'm going to take this pain and I'm going to educate as many people as I can because I get it. I understand. I have empathy to understand where people have been hurt and how they've hurt. I can relate to that pain, but I'm going to teach them because I'm going to do it myself. I'm not a hypocrite. So when I tell you guys things to do, it's not like I haven't done it or I have to do it on a consistent basis because I was a long-term primary source of supply. So the things that I teach you are the same things that I had to learn, the same things that I had to do. And so, but I can take that. Yes, my heart was broken. Yes, I was very angry. Yes, I wanted to get revenge, but I didn't do it, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to heal, and I'm going to use this to empower myself to make sure I teach as many people as I can. And you can feel the frequency. You can feel the passion for what I do. That you're taking that negative energy and you're turning around and using it for positive energy. And a lot of you, like I tell you guys, you can take that pain and you can reach out and help as many people as you can. When you get on these people's channels, you guys are learning. You pick those that that are helping you. Those that are helping you. My videos or whoever else you're with. If they're empowering you and making you feel more powerful, if you feel empowered and you're starting to feel beautiful and you're starting to get your groove back, Stella got a groove back, or Mr. Man that got his swag back, then that these videos are helping you. But anytime you get on these videos, and one lady said, I just had this feeling. That feeling, that's a red flag. So when you start listening to them and something just doesn't click, you're like, I don't know what it is. Use those spider senses.
All right, she's about finished there, but I just wanted you guys to see, what do we see when we cover these people? When we cover Pharaoh, when we cover Nature Nut, or whoever that you cover. You understand? Whoever that you cover. And you have to understand their stands are not in their right state of mind. They're not. Like that beehive. The beehive is not in the right state of mind. Y'all don't know Beyonce from nothing. Y'all don't know nothing about her. You've never been around her. You just know what they put on TV, and she could sing, she could dance, she had, but that's when we can see that. You don't know her. But them stands, they have been programmed. Like them Eminem fans, they have been programmed. People who has a lot of following, that's because the people been programmed. So their mind is different. Their mind is you can't get me to like anybody that much that I don't know. And I'm gonna be a stan or a fan. Whichever one y'all choose to call it. Now, we're gonna get into the last one.
You'll find with those of you that are still in the relationship with the narcissist. And when you're dealing with stress, so let's look and see what they say here. Who's this written by? This is written by Hilly James. So we're talking about the fight and flight, the flight or fight stress related illnesses. So this is, like PTSD, the fight, flight, or freeze. And so in the fight flight responses, or simply the stress response, it is a physiological reaction to situations that we feel we can't control. From taking an exam to losing a loved one, it evolved to help our ancestors deal with threats from predators or other dangers by priming the body for either fighting or fleeing. Now, the freeze part comes in, like you see the deer in the headlight. Look where the deer just freezes in the middle of the road. They're so afraid that they tense up and they just freeze in the road. And you're thinking like, run, run. And you end up hitting the deer. That's that freeze response where they tense up and they don't know what to do. Well, people do that too. So let's look. If we experience a stress response too often, however, it can cause stress-related illnesses. While some people dismiss feeling stressed out as being all in the mind, the effects of stress on our health, now well researched by scientists, partly because of stress-related illnesses cause high level of work absentees and a huge economic cost. Okay, but we're talking about narcissist abuse as well, and that could apply to you and the job that you work in. So let me scroll down just a little bit. So remember when we talked about previously in another video, the post-traumatic stress or complex post-traumatic stress, we're dealing with adrenaline pumping into your system. The adrenaline is telling your body it is bracing to do something. It's got to do something because the body is tensing up to do something. And so in here it says the role of adrenaline when faced with a perceived threat, whether physical or psychological, our bodies produce stress hormones such as, excuse me, adrenaline that speeds up the heart rate, the breathing rate to help pump oxygen around our bodies in preparation of either fight the threat or run for the hills. It can also trigger sweating and dry mouth. And then proceeds as this threat proceeds, so does the adrenaline. If it's too long term, a chronic stressor, so chronic stressors, meaning your relationship with this narcissist, they are the chronic stressor in your life. And especially if it's emotional, a high level of adrenaline may lead to stress related illnesses. Okay, so let's see. Cortisol. We hear a lot about cortisol. It's a hormone that's present in our body all the time and is vital to our functions, including regulating our blood sugar and metabolism. But levels increase as effect of stress. When cortisol triggers short bursts of energy, heighten alertness, and dampens down our pain responses. Remember, I talked about the high level of some people have a high pain tolerance. Well, with that cortisol, that it lowers the pain responses. In order for you to do something that may cause pain, that you don't know that you're in pain until after the adrenaline and the cortisol calms itself back down. Then you realize you're hurting. And so it makes the heart beat faster, the muscles tension. It is helpful in dangerous situations. But if cortisol is continuously elevated, scientists believe these responses can cause stress-related illnesses. High cortisol can reduce our sex drive, and in women cause irregular periods or stop them altogether. So some of you may have experienced that, wondering why it feels like you went into premenopause and maybe your period has stopped. It might be stress. It might not be menopause. It might be stress that has caused your cycle to have stopped. Chronic overexposure to stress hormones have been linked to both obesity and memory impairment. So if you guys go back and watch my video over narcissist abuse and brain damage, I talked about, memory impairment and damages that happen to your brain being in a relationship with a narcissist, an abusive relationship. And also obesity, stress causes weight gain. For a lot of people that are overweight, you notice that when you left the relationship, some of you have left and all of a sudden you lost weight. You got healthier, your skin cleared up, you can sleep at night, and some of you are still experiencing this. And it's good to get in therapy. That's why I talk about therapy so much. So here goes 7 of them that are on this website. One of them is cardiovascular disease and heart problems. So the increased heart rate and high blood pressure are the 2 most serious health effects of stress. Several reputable studies have shown the link between a higher reported stress level at work, or in this situation, I'm telling you in this situation, an increased risk of heart attacks and strokes. Do you guys know that the increase of your stress level, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, eating as a coping mechanism, obesity, you're literally like eating yourself to death. You're stressing yourself to death. And you're in a relationship with this individual that always wants you to walk around in an anxiety-ridden environment. They always want you to be unkiltered or unbalanced. They don't mind. They want your stress levels to be high all the time. And they always cause stress in your life. Anything they do causes stress. They show up, they cause stress. Let's see. It says here, if you think stress is causing these symptoms, make sure to see a doctor. Left untreated, they can prove fatal. So make sure you guys find a primary care provider or a doctor where you can have regular checkups. And make sure, male and females alike, that you follow the instructions of your doctor. If it means going to a therapist to teach you coping skills and relaxation skills. And a lot of you not only need to learn coping skills and relaxation skills, some of you just need to get out the relationship, period. Now, I've said it over and over again. Some of you just can't jump out of the relationship because, one, each state has different laws that pertain to marriage and assets in marriage. Also, when it comes to children, those of you who have children, you can't just jump up and leave. You can, in some states they'll charge you with abandonment. They'll charge you with kidnapping. And so it's good to connect to like the YWCA or to domestic violence centers that will assist you in escaping your situation without legal ramifications, because a narcissist will use that against you. And so be wise before you just jump up and go. Some of you want to jump up and go, but you have to be wise. You got into the situation. Now you have to be wise trying to come out of the situation. Find a legal advocate, find a domestic violence advocate, get as much information and legal information as you can, to make an informed decision when you leave the relationship and when you.
That's what I was telling you guys before. Not the same, but sometimes stress levels of the wrong career. Yeah, she said that can damage your mind. I had to leave. Yeah, she mentioned the word job. She did, Ari. And then but she got to bring it back to narcissistic. But she did say job, and it is the same. It's the same. You right. You right. And Trejos, I need for you to hold on. I gotta ask you something. I gotta ask you something. I need for you to hold on. If you're still in here, hold on. Let me. If you have to go, let me know before you have to go. Uh, let's finish with this. Narcissistic abuse and stress related illnesses. Some people get people sick. Just you yourself. Just you. Yeah, before you leave, I gotta ask you something. Oh, okay, yeah, but you're 100% right, Ari. Sometimes your jobs, you know why is your job stress levels at your job? Because you got narcissistic people that work at your job. It all boils down to narcissistic people. You have to be the one to connect the dots. That's why when you watch this, I keep telling people stop thinking of narcissistic as, oh, my mother, my father, or my sibling, or the person I'm in a relationship with. You have to think about everybody that's around you and learn how to protect yourself. My job is to get you to protect yourself. I missed it. No, you is on time, Ari. No, you is good. You is good. You is good. But that's because your boss is narcissistic. The people you work with is narcissistic. So you're never not around a narcissistic person. You're never not around narcissistic people. What do you do? What do you do? That'd be another show. What do you do?
When you're, excuse me, you guys, especially when your immune system has been affected by this high level of stress that you're in. And I've said this over and over again. Especially like if you have autoimmune problems, or all of a sudden now you have autoimmune problems, whether your immune system is fighting itself, is fighting the body. You never had this before until you got into a relationship with this individual and your stress level skyrocketed. And so, making it hard for your body to regulate itself and fight things like common colds, and especially if you're not resting, you have insomnia, you can't sleep at night. That is when the body shuts down and regenerates. Well, if you can't regenerate at night, your body can't regenerate, your immune system is being affected. It can't regenerate itself and fight, common diseases and colds, and the immune system is just off whack. Let's see, even just dwelling on stressful events in the past can increase levels of inflammation. Your body can't even fight inflammations in your body. Let me see. So speak to your doctor if you have conditions that are mentioned and think that stress might be causing and aggravating them. Let's see, and find therapy. It says find therapy. Insomnia and sleep problems. Now, for some of you, you know that a narcissist will purposely antagonize you or torment you by depriving you of sleep, trying to force you to answer a question or change your mind, well, they will deprive you of sleep to break you down, to make you more vulnerable, or to make it easier for you to comply to what they're trying to force you into because you're tired. You are sleep deprived. One of the most common effects of stress is difficulty switching off. Your mind is running all night, all night. Your mind is just thinking, 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 thinking. You can't shut your mind off. Now, I'm not talking about you guys that have like bipolar disorder or ADHD. That's why it's good to go to a mental health provider to rule out one or the other. Some of you guys, post-traumatic stress or complex post-traumatic stress, ADHD and bipolar disorder appears, symptomatically may appear similar and the same. So those that may have ADHD or bipolar disorder and you're unmedicated, this also is a problem with not being able to switch your brain off. But post-traumatic stress also looks that way. And you have a difficulty going to sleep at night. And that's one of the questions I ask when I'm doing an intake dealing with post-traumatic stress is, do you have problems falling asleep and staying asleep? Do you wake up early in the morning? Do you have nightmares? Nightmares will keep you awake. And some of you do have nightmares dealing with the narcissist and the abuse that your family and children have been through. You have nightmares about it. Let's see. So not being able to switch off your mind, resulting in not being able to get off or back to sleep, or awakening too early in the morning. A large study published in the European Heart Journal in 2013 made a link between insomnia and heart failure in people with these symptoms. Meanwhile, chronic sleep deprivation is likely not just to make you feel tired and irritable, but also cause accidents. You can't even focus. You're too tired to focus. Many people find hypnotherapy and meditation to be particularly effective in stress-related insomnia. Physical tension and headaches. Some of you have tension headaches. It's like this cord around the top of your head. You have tension headaches in this area right here. Some of you have tension headaches right in the middle of your forehead. Some of you have it right there in the back of your head. And you can't figure, it's like somebody's drilling in the back of your head. Or if you have neck issues, those are tension headaches. Some of you guys go get Botox because you find yourself like this all the time. So now you have a permanent crease or a permanent frown line right here in the middle of your head. And it actually hurts right here. Some of you get Botox shots to help you relax that muscle that's right here in the middle of your head. They usually do the Botox shots right here, and then sometimes up here. But for those people that suffer from chronic migraines, they do like the shots in these areas, like the cluster headaches. They do the shots in this area right here, which benefits, honey, because your skin is all smooth and your head is all straight. But all this straightens back up too, because this right here, most people have like permanent frown lines right here. You're unhappy in the relationship. So let's see. It's not surprising that increased level of hormones that cause our muscles to tense up in preparation for fight can, in long term, also cause pain, stiffness, tension headaches. In small doses, this may not cause problems and can be alleviated by exercise, breathing techniques, or hands-on therapy like massage therapies. In longer term, however, they can be harmful. Depression and anxiety. That's also a part of post-traumatic stress disorder. And those of you that may not have PTSD might find yourself with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, don't know why you cry half the time. You have a conversation, cry all the time. Everything triggers you. You don't feel like you can cope. You worry all the time. But if left untreated, when you're dealing with depression and anxiety, it can lead to serious health problems such as depression and anxiety. Well, I said that. Talking therapies like cognitive behavior therapy or medication. Some of you don't believe in medication, but sometimes psychotropic medications or mental health medications, and find a psychiatrist or a med provider that specializes in psychotropic medications to assist you maybe short term when it comes to stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, in the study, the trauma studies that I have for continuing education, one of the instructors did mention that studies indicate that benzodiazepine like Klonopin and Xanax is not a recommended medication for post-traumatic stress disorder because it also covers other symptomology. Plus, on top of that, it has the capacity of getting you addicted. And on top of that, benzodiazepines are usually meant for short term, like panic attacks, or like people that are afraid of heights or flying or speaking engagements. Usually benzodiazepines are usually meant to be used short term, not long term. And the recommendations were to use SSRIs or SSNRIs, which are more long term medications, and it's a slow release and usually feel the full effect, which also treats depression and anxiety within 3, 4 to 6 weeks. And many people have stated that it has helped them a lot. And then also, it is recommended that when you do get medication, psychotropic medications, that you also go to mental health counseling to help, because most people do not want to be on medication long term, but find a good trauma therapist to help you dealing with depression, anxiety, and trauma focused, therapy, especially coming out of these type of situation. You'll also find digestive problems like irritable bowel syndrome. So stomach problems like nausea and stomach aches, and no medical cause can often be related. In particular, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, a cluster of symptoms including bloating, cramps, diarrhea, constipation, and is thought to be partly stress related, and the anxiety caused by needing to rush to the toilet and make problems worse. Nutrition plays a part, a major role, and so if the doctor can't help, think about visiting a nutritionist, especially dealing with stomach problems. Some of you may have indigestion or GERD, that acid that's coming back up your esophagus. It can burn your esophagus, that actually damage your esophagus. And so there's a lot of stress related issues dealing with being in a toxic relationship, a high stress relationship, especially that the narcissist. So self-medication, you'll find people using all sorts of coping mechanism because they feel they can't leave. So they find other things, self-medication, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, other addiction, gambling, let's see. So that's the end of that. And so now I wanted to take you over to functional neurologic disorders known as conversion disorders. And so I've spoke of this on another video. So functional neurological disorders is a newer and broader term that includes what some people call conversion disorder. So it featured nervous system neurological symptoms that
Hey,
can't be explained by
Dwayne.
neurological disease or other medical condition. However, the symptoms are real and cause significant stress or problems functioning. And you'll find this at the Mayo Clinic. Under disease conditions, and this is conversion disorder or functional neurological disorders. And so
Now remember, that's if you suffer from PSTD. But you have to remember anxiety, as I read, and I will put that information on the next video. Anxiety does not go away. Anxiety has to be managed. Now, depression is different from have to excuse. I'm working right now. Okay, Dwayne, no problem. Anxiety don't go away. Like you say, you may be scared of heights, scared of something, but anxiety usually doesn't. I read that anxiety, but it's manageable. Depression, yeah, make it go away, or you can save me the time and look it up for yourself. Because I had a discussion about that with a psychologist, a doctor, and I'm like, why don't y'all tell people that? Why y'all know certain things they know they don't tell you? You have to look for the information yourself. I tell you, every time somebody give me information, even if you are a doctor, I have to make sure what you say is accurate and correct. And certain things, I always go back to the doctor and say, yeah, I read this and I found this out. Why didn't you tell me? Or why don't y'all tell the people? You're never going to get a response back. But anxiety is a mofo. Some people never is going to always be scared of the dark. Some people's gonna always be scared of heights. Some people gonna always be, but to know that, and that's the importance of this video today. To know that it your mind is altered from just being around a sick person. And you didn't do nothing to cause this. This person caused all these elements to go wrong in your body. When they say stress kills, that is 100% accurate. That needs to be talked about even more. It works on your entire body. Your entire body. That's why I said you can't be worrying about other people, what they say and what they feel. You better learn to have a clap back or just be your own. But you got to build yourself up. You have to build yourself up. She's almost finished. And Trejo, I got to ask you a question. So you just hold on.
So, as I said in a previous video before, a lot, mental health and physical health, physiological health is very interconnected. Sometimes physical health or physical manifestations of medical problems, when you go to the doctor and they do tests and they cannot find what would they call it, a organic problem or a actual physical problems that causes these symptoms, you will hear them call it somatic or somatoform, and they'll tell you to go get mental health. So some people get very offended and argumentative with the doctor by saying, oh, so you're saying it's all in my head. Oh, so I'm crazy now. That's not the case. Some severe stress and mental health disorders will manifest themselves physiologically in body aches, stomach problems. Now, remember the stress-related symptoms we were just talking about? Some of them don't have medical proof that anything medically is wrong with you, and it's actually psychological. The level of stress you're under, the extra cortisol that is being released, the high level of adrenaline that is pumping in your system, the body aches. You think it's fibromyalgia and it's actually stress. And I'm not a medical doctor. That's why I say go speak to a medical doctor. But you think you may have fibromyalgia. But what if you have, the stress and the adrenaline that is pumping in your system is causing all sorts of muscular problems and tendon problems and neck problems and migraine cluster, and they can't find anything wrong, but your stress level is so high it's tearing down your immune system, is tearing down your body. And so the medical doctor's like, this is a somatoform disorder or this is a somatic disorder. You need to go see a mental health provider, because it may be a psychological problem, too much stress. And so even with the neurologic disorders or the conversion disorders, the cause of functional neurologic disorders are unknown. The condition may be triggered by a neurological disorder or by a reaction to stress or psychological or physical trauma. Now, some of you are in psychological and physically traumatic relationships, especially with a narcissist, but that's not always the case. Functional neurologic disorders are related to how the brain functions rather than the damage to the brain structures, such as from a stroke, multiple sclerosis, or infection or injury. So some of the symptoms, depending on the type of functional neurological disorder, there may be a significant, they're significant enough to cause impairment and warrant medical evaluation. Symptom can affect movement and function and senses. So signs and symptoms that affect the body movement and function may be weakness or paralysis. I've watched a video where they diagnosed an individual with conversion disorder, and the person was a paraplegic for like years. And they got them into mental health counseling, even into physical therapy to get them walking again, as if they had a stroke or had been hit by a vehicle. They couldn't figure out how did this individual lose the ability to walk and move their arms. And they were in physical therapy, and they were showing this individual learning how to walk all over again, and there was no medical explanation. Conversion disorder, abnormal movements such as tremors or difficulty walking. All of a sudden, you start having tremors, like you're having a seizure, or it looks like Parkinson's disease. You know, your hand is trembling. You're having problems walking. Stress. You know, conversion disorder. Loss of balance, like all of a sudden you feel like you have vertigo, but you don't have vertigo. You just have loss of balance. Difficulty swallowing or feeling a lump in the throat. So now there's problems like a swallowing disorder, some kind of problems with swallowing. Seizures or episodes of shaking and apparent loss of consciousness. So non-epileptic seizures. They can't find any lesions on the brain. They can't find anything. They do an MRI and CAT scans. They can't find anything wrong with your brain. And episodes of unresponsiveness. Signs and symptoms that affect the senses may include numbness or loss of sensation, loss of touch or sensation. They can't feel, so all of a sudden you can't feel anything in your fingers. You don't have any sensation in your legs. Speech problems such as inability to talk or slur speech. For some people, it may look like you're having a stroke, but they can't find anywhere in your brain that you're having a stroke. And it's just unexplainable. Vision problems such as double vision and or blindness. There are people that have gone blind. Stress is so bad, in these relationship conversion disorder, where they legally were registered with their state as being legally blind and were receiving Social Security benefits because they were legally blind. Hearing problems or deafness. All of a sudden, you can't hear anything. They're legally deaf. They cannot hear. Let's see. So it says here, the exact causes of functional neurologic disorders are unknown. Theories regarding what happens in the brain to result in symptoms are complex and involve multiple mechanisms that may differ depending on the type of functional neurological disorder. So basically, parts of the brain that control the functioning of your muscles and senses may be involved, even though no disease or abnormality exists. Let's see. So symptoms of functional neurological disorders or conversion disorders may appear suddenly after a stressful event or with emotional or physical trauma. Other triggers may include changes or disruptions in how
Treehouse.
the brain functions at the structural, cellular, or metabolic level, but the triggers for symptoms can't always be identified. And so here, let's look. Okay, so I wanted to give you that information because I want you to see just how serious it is when you are in a relationship with a narcissist. Now, this is not just the narcissist, but this channel is devoted to survivors and those that are in relationship with those individuals that are being abused by a person that has narcissistic personality disorders. Also, we call them the narcissist. And
Now, I did a video. I might play that video. I might play that video next, but I did it a while back. I may want to upgrade the video. I did two. One is called Forgive Yourself, and the other one is called You Let the Vampire In. I might play that video next if I can find it because I have to give you information before we watch all the fuckery. Cause we for that shit too. We for it all. Cause we doctors in here. We doctors. I'm a self-acclaimed therapist. But any guys, stay tuned. I will be right back on. Let me find them videos. Hold on, King. And y'all have a great morning. I see you guys right back here.